Yo, man, welcome to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, man, I know it's been a minute since I've been at you guys. Had to take a little bit of a break, but really just trying to let the free agency calm down. Wait till all those things take place so then we could really talk about them. I ain't got to worry about making an episode like every single big move that was made. So I was waiting on that. I actually made an episode last week, but I did not release it because, honestly, bro, it was rather lengthy, and it felt like it was a lot of unnecessary stuff that I was speaking about that did not need to be spoken about. So I wanted to condense the episode. So that's why I held it off. I'm redoing it, giving it to you guys fresh once again. Now, I know you guys are waiting on the March Madness and the NBA talk. I'm actually not really going to focus on the March Madness talk, mainly because those teams, I have not had a chance to follow those teams to the degree that I would like to. I pride my podcast on being about giving you a true analysis and true predictions based off of things that I've seen. And I have not been able to catch up on those teams, and that's why I'm not giving you guys one. My favorite team is the Kansas Jayhawks. Obviously, bro, Gonzaga did us shady. They did us shady. But, hey, it's all good. It is what it is. Kansas, man, we did not have the greatest year. But you move forward. My final four that I have UConn, I have Baylor, I have Houston, and I have Tennessee. Obviously, as we all know, man, Baylor lost that back-breaking loss. And it is what it is. It is what it is. But so far, your boy still got 3 of the 4 going. We'll see how that pulls through. I also have my championship game being UConn against Houston, and I got UConn winning the whole thing. That's what your boy picked. We'll see how it goes and we'll see where it gets to. But March Madness has been very exciting so far. So those of you that have not been paying that close attention, please start paying it close attention, man, because now we're down in that Sweet 16, and now all the real teams are still there, and they're about to be balling out. Now, moving over to the NBA for a second, I haven't really touched on that either because I'm still catching up on everything. Once again, I want to give you all true analysis and detailed analysis and also true predictions going forward. So I've been just catching up. I'm watching a lot of those games, catching up on what's going on in the league so then we could get to that when the playoffs start. As soon as the playoffs is going, then your boy's going to start talking about the NBA. We're going to put NFL on a pause until closer to draft season. Now, let's go ahead and focus on the 2024 offseason of the NFL so far. So obviously we're going to be mainly talking about free agency. Guys that's departed from teams and guys that are now acquired by those teams. Now, the way that we're going to do this episode, I got 3 categories. I got neutral teams. Neutral teams to me are the teams that did a little something. They didn't get worse, but I don't think they did nothing where they got extraordinary better. And they are what they are still. They're still in building processes possibly, or just that they're kind of in that state of purgatory where you just kind of stuck dead in the middle. So that's what that neutral teams list will be about. Now we're going to have the winners, the free agency winners so far this offseason. Those are teams that I feel like have definitely boosted themselves to now being more than what they were last year. And then finally, we're going to talk about the losers of free agency. Those are the teams that I obviously feel like have gotten weakened since then. So there's going to be some teams, bro, that their grade that I may give them, they may be in the winner side, but they are not a true contender. They are not a true championship-worthy team. There are also going to be some teams that are neutral teams that's going to be like that as well. This is just about if I felt like that you got worse or better. That's it. So, starting off, man, we're going to talk about the neutral teams. My first neutral team I'm going to talk about is actually going to be the Los Angeles Rams. And I also want to talk about them first because, man, we got to get into it, man. 99 retired, bro. Aaron Donald, he hanging up the cleats. My boy said that he felt like he accomplished everything that he needed to, and let's keep it a buck. He did. Multi winner of the Defensive Player of the Year. One of the most dominant defensive linemen we've ever seen. And then on top of that, you won a Super Bowl. Had many other winning years, contending years. He has nothing else to prove. He's just playing just to play at this point. So, man, I don't blame him. Great career to you, Aaron Donald. I'm going to miss watching you play. You are a warrior. You are a dog. Take care of your family. Hey, enjoy retirement and live in happiness. But moving forward with the Rams, that's really the only guy that they're truly losing, in my opinion. That was a difference maker on their team. Now, they have picked up Darius Williams and Kareem Carroll. Carl was a safety from the Washington Commanders, and Williams was a defensive back from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Williams was actually also there when they won the Super Bowl. So, man, they had some solid pickups. So, they solidified the back end of their defense, which is going to be very important now that Aaron Donald's gone. Those guys need to hold up a little bit longer, but I don't really feel like they made any moves that made them significantly better, especially once Aaron Donald walked away. So that's where we're going to kind of leave them at, man, but they didn't get worse. Moving on now to the Seattle Seahawks, man, I gave them a grade of a D. Mainly because they didn't do anything. I mean, they let go of Drew Lock. They brought in Sam Howell. I mean, Sam Howell has a little bit more promise, but I mean, you also letting go of Jamal Adams, which I do understand. Not saying that's a bad move, and then you also letting go of Bobby Wagner, which once again I do understand. He's not as great in coverage, and as he gets older, he's losing the step. So I get it. But the Seahawks, man, you stayed in that purgatory, and you just stay where you are. And for me, that deserves a grade of a D because you didn't do anything. And I feel like you have a roster and you have the draft picks and the finances because you're not paying big money to a quarterback that you could have made some other moves to maybe try to bump yourself up there without messing up your future. So I'm giving them a grade of a D. Don't expect nothing more from the Seahawks than what you saw last year, to be honest. Moving on now to the New England Patriots. I'm giving them a C. They didn't do anything, but they didn't lose anything. In my opinion, you lost Mac Jones. Okay, you lost Mac Jones. You lost Zeke. Okay, you lost Zeke. You lost Devontae Parker. Okay, you lost Devontae Parker. Now, you did lose Trent Brown. That one does kind of hurt a little bit, but once again, like, your season didn't change. You didn't get worse. You didn't get better. You're probably going to be what you are. So with that, I just give them a C, and we're just going to keep moving forward. Going to the Indianapolis Colts, I also gave them a C. I feel like they kind of stayed in a neutral place. Now, granted, I don't really feel like they had a whole lot of moves that they could make. I mean, they did let Gardner Minshew walk, and they did let go of Zach Moss. They end up picking up Joe Flacco. But outside of that, they haven't really done any major moves. And I'm a little bit concerned about the Joe Flacco pickup, to be honest, mainly because obviously he's older. But more importantly, that's two different offenses. If Anthony Richardson is in, he runs one type of offense. And then if he gets hurt and you put it Joe Flacco in, that's a completely different ball game. Completely different ball game. Not saying that Gardner Minshew was able to do the things that Anthony Richardson can, but he can move a lot better than Joe Flacco. He can move a lot better than him. So to me, that was kind of wishy-washy. But, hey, the main reason why I give him a C is because they did manage to keep Michael Pittman, keep him happy by giving him a 3-year, $70 million contract, 46 guaranteed. I think that he did deserve that. But for the Colts, I'm going to kind of leave them still in their little purgatory area. They will be better than last year. They had a lot of things going on last year, so they will be better than last year. They may even challenge for the division championship, but they didn't really do nothing to me to knock my socks off so far this offseason. Moving on now to the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, man, they end up letting Brian Burns go, which I thought that was terrible, to be honest. Thought it was bad. I mean, they end up signing Jadeveon Clowney, but the reason why they do bump up to a C is because they did pick up Deontay Johnson. They did need a number one receiver. Not trying to say he is the number one, but he's better than what they had. Him and Adam Thielen, they could play off each other a lot like a Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen did back in the day. Talking about the type of route trees. Obviously, Adam Thielen is not what he once was, but the route trees that those two guys will run and the concepts that they will run together and work off of each other with, they could do a lot of those same things. So with that being the case, man, that does help Bryce Young a decent bit, giving him a receiver that he can depend on. Then they're also trying to fulfill the offensive line. I want to say they made 2 acquisitions on the offensive line. That obviously Bryce Young needs all the help he could get from the offensive line because last year that wasn't atrocious last year. So man, for the Panthers, I mean, you're doing what you can. Obviously, you ain't gonna get nobody good. You haven't proved to be worthy enough for good free agents to come there. So take your time, build it right, continue doing what you're doing. Good job, Carolina. Moving on now to the next team, the New Orleans Saints. I gave them a C. They haven't lost anything. I mean, they did gain Chase Young. That was a gain. But, I mean, they let go of Jameis Winston. Obviously, they let Michael Thomas walk. But they didn't do anything, bro. They didn't do nothing at all. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I love their roster on paper, and I keep having false hope that this team could jump up to a solid 11-6, 12-5 season based off their division, and they're not doing it. And I'm not falling for the tricks no more. I'm not falling for it. So, man, to me, they stay where they are. They're going to be a 8-9, maybe 10-18. I mean, 10-17 at best. That's the best way I could see it going for them. But they're going to float somewhere in that range, and they're going to be fighting to make the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Bucks, I gave them a C because they stayed the same in my opinion, but I got some mixed feelings about them. I mean, they did let go of Shaq Barrett, they let go of Devin White, and they let go of Carlton Davis. Now, Devin White, he wasn't even hurt, but they wasn't using him as much. There was games that he wasn't even dressed, and so that wasn't necessarily a big loss for them. Letting go of Carlton Davis, you did pick up Bruce Hall from the Jets, the defensive back, the third defensive back. We'll see really what he is. But I do like Bruce Hall. I think he has game, and I can understand you doing that to try to, free up money and things of that nature. So I can understand that move. And obviously they brought back Mike Evans, which was a big deal. But the biggest thing that they did was bring back Baker Mayfield. I got mixed feelings about it. Baker had a good year last year. But is Baker this year's Daniel Jones? This is what I mean. You paid that player that kind of money. When you pay him 3 years, $100 million, I forget exactly how much is guaranteed, but when you pay him that money, it's hard to move on from him if you have to. Look at the Giants right now. They got hoodwinked, bamboozled into paying Daniel Jones the money that he got paid. $40+ million a season, which I said was wrong for the first day. But the pile wasn't up yet, so I couldn't tell you that. But they paid him that money. And now here you are 1 year into a 3-year contract, and they are literally trying to trade up and not play Daniel Jones. That shows you what they did based off of one good year that he had with them. One good year. And could that be what happens with Baker? Because if you sit back and think about the years that we saw with Baker, what he had one really good year with the Cleveland Browns. The next year he was injury prone. The next year, I'm not holding that on him like he was terrible. But then even the years before, I mean, he had a solid rookie year, but then that stuff in the middle between that year and the playoff year, he was awful. He was awful once OBJ got there and all that kind of stuff. Then you go to the Rams. Yeah, you had one good game with the Rams. That was a tremendous game, by the way. Had that game, and you played okay. Then you go to Tampa, where you had to beat out the other quarterback to take the starting job, which it took a minute. It took some time before they even called you the starter, and then you become the starter, and then you play a solid season. But even think about the solid season, they went 9-8. I believe they went 9-8, maybe 10-7 at best. I don't have it written down, so please go check it. Like, it wasn't like you was balling. You weren't balling. Honestly, let's keep it a buck. You was benefiting off the Falcons' struggles, because the Falcons honestly, they had a bad season for what they should have been able to do. They had a bad year for what they should have been able to do. You capitalized off of David Carr being cooked in New Orleans, and then you capitalized off of Carolina just being Carolina. Let's just keep it a buck and call it what it is. So with that being the case, with Atlanta getting better, with New Orleans still having plenty of talent, and Carolina even getting better, they'll still bust Carolina. But they are better. I don't know if you should have paid him that money. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I would have paid him quite that much money. But congratulations to Baker Mayfield. I ain't a man that's going to knock another man getting paid. Get your money, bro. Moving on now to the next team, the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm giving them a solid C+, but to me, like, they kind of stayed packed where they were. I mean, they went ahead and let Jimmy Garoppolo go finally. They should have never brought him in the first place. And then they went ahead and let Josh Jacobs go, which I do not think was a good idea. And then the main reason why I think it was a good idea, it'd be different if you was truly trying to rebuild, but you're not. They're kind of in this purgatory range of like, are we rebuilding? Are we not? What do we do? Because there's no way that you're rebuilding when you're paying Max Crosby, which he deserves, the money that he gets. And then you sign Christian Wilkins to a 4-year, $110 million contract, 84.75 guaranteed. Guaranteed. You trying to win. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to win. And Alexander Mattison is not going to give you what Josh Jacobs gave you. Now, you did pick up Gardner Minshew. I do think he's an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. He definitely proved that last year. I'm not knocking that. But you ain't beating Patrick Mahomes with Gardner Minshew, bro. You ain't overthrowing the Chiefs with that. And when you sign a guy like Christian Wilkins to the contract you signed him to, you are trying to overthrow the Chiefs. You're trying to overthrow them, and you're not. So I got them finishing second place in the division, just like they did last year. Moving on now to the next team, the Washington Commanders. Their key departures, man, we got Sam Howell leaving. They let Curtis Samuel go, and they also let Kendall Fuller go. Now, they did pick up some guys that I think is solid for them. You picked up Marcus Mariota. When you look at how the draft board's going to fall, you're going to probably either get Jaden Daniels or you're going to get Drake May. So with that being the case, I do think Marcus Mariota is a good veteran guy to have around a rookie. I really do believe that. Then you pick up Austin Eckler. You let go of Gibson. Let Eckler come in. That's an upgrade. That is an upgrade. He's far better around the goal line and things like that. So you have more dual threat and more options to go when he's in the game versus when Gibson's in the game. You picked up Deorance Armstrong from the Cowboys, the defensive end. Remember, he was playing with Dan Quinn there. Now Dan Quinn is the coach of the Commanders. It makes sense. And Dan Quinn didn't stop there. He also picked up his boy Bobby Wagner to man the middle of that defense. So with that being the case, the Commanders should be better next year than what they were last year. But I still got them finishing third in the division. I don't have them better than the Cowboys, and I still don't have them better than the Eagles. And that's why they're going to stay in this range of a neutral team, because they're just going to stay where they were. But I'm giving them a solid C+. A solid C+ so far this free agency. Moving on now to the New York Giants. Actually, we're going to stay within the same division. Gave them a C. I mean, they let go of Tyrod, they let go of Saquon, Isaiah Simmons, and Xavier McKinney. I actually don't really have an issue with them letting go of Saquon. Not because I don't think Saquon deserved what he got. He deserved what he got. But I'm fine with it just because, I mean, obviously, the two sides was to come to an agreement. And obviously, you need to rebuild that offense. And you messed up paying Daniel Jones, so you didn't have a choice but to let Saquon walk. That's y'all's mess up. Now, you did go ahead and bring in Devin Singletary, who's coming off of a career year last year. You brought in Drew Lock, a guy that could compete maybe with Daniel Jones for that job. And then also you brought in Brian Burns. That's what pushes them up to a solid C. Yes, because they blew to Xavier McKinney. That should have never happened. He should still be a Giant. They should have franchise tagged him. They blew that. But, man, when you get a Pro Bowl caliber player, a caliber player of all pro like Brian Burns, hey, man, that boosts you up, especially for what you got him for. You pretty much didn't trade anything to get him. So, man, congratulations to you guys picking up Brian Burns, but I still got you guys finishing fourth in the division. And that's why you stay where you are as one of the neutral teams. And that's all the neutral teams that I got. But, man, if we're going to go now to the winners of free agency, we're going to do the winners first because the losers, I got a lot of hot stuff to say about the losers. So we're going to go to the winners first, man. The first winner that we're going to talk about are the Tennessee Titans. They got better. They did get better. I know a lot of you going to look at it like, man, but they let go of D. Hen. Yeah, they let go of Henne. But it was time. It's time for him to move forward. It was time for y'all to start rebuilding it. You can never let Will Levis try to take a step in passing the ball. You can never start trying to become a passing team when you got a guy like Derrick Henry behind you. You got to give D. Hen the ball. So I do get it. Where they effed up was they should have traded him last year. Get something back. Even the 7th round pick is better than him just walking off. But that's where they messed up. They let go of Ryan Tannehill. That is what it is. Especially when you picked up Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, I think, has proven to be a solid backup in the NFL and good in the quarterback room. You picked up Tony Pollard. You didn't pay him a crazy contract, but you paid him a decent contract. 3-year, $24 million, $8 million a year. You probably could cut him after the second year if you wanted to. So it works out. My only question is you don't really have a yin and yang there. You got like two Tony Pollards because you got Pollard and Sears, and they have very similar play styles. But at least they could alternate each other and not just wear down one guy. So we'll see where that goes. But the big thing for them, these two big moves for them is what bumped them up for me. They picked up Calvin Ridley. Man, and they signed him to a contract I don't know if he should have got. It's a lot of money to pay Calvin Ridley, but man, they're paying him 4 years, $92 million a season. $92 million for the contract. It is what it is. But for Will Levis, you're on the clock now, bro. You're on the clock. You are on the clock. Because now you got Calvin Ridley on one side, you got D-Hop on the other side. You still got Treylon Burks. You got two speedy backs. They're letting you have the ball. They're going to put you in shotgun. They're going to let you try to slang that thing. They're trying to find out what Will Levis is. And I think it's a good idea. I mean, he showed some flashes last year. But the thing now is that there's some tape on him. And plus, we're going to find out how well does he read defenses. And that's what we need to know. And if he could perform with that, the Tennessee Titans can mess around and be a contender for the division. That's how much they picked up, because you got to remember they picked up, my God, L'Jarius Sneed. They picked him up. We have Sneed and Simmons on the front. Hey, man, that's a good group. They got a solid group of guys. And let me be clear real quick. Just grading the Sneed trade for them. I'm going to give them an A. I'll give the Titans an A for the trade and the contract they gave him. They only pay him $19 million a season, I believe. I think he was trying to get something closer to 22, 23, and he only ended up getting 19. I mean, that's not bad for him. The Chiefs just can't afford to pay it, which is completely understandable. We'll get to them later. But for the Titans, trading a third-round pick, and I want to say a seventh-round pick to get L'Jarius Sneed, you had to get that deal done. So congratulations to you, Tennessee. And you guys definitely did get better. But moving on now to one of the teams that I think is one of the most talked about teams this offseason, because they got the number 1 overall draft pick, the Chicago Bears. I'm giving them an A. I'm giving them an A, actually, so far this offseason. And I'm a Justin Fields guy. But I'm still giving them an A. Yeah, you let go of Fields. Y'all messed that one up as well. You should have traded him last year. Once y'all saw what Carolina was doing, y'all knew Carolina was going to be trash. Y'all knew y'all had that number 1 overall pick. You should have traded him. And then if you didn't, you should have traded him as soon as you can. As soon as the Super Bowl was over, you should have been calling teams to get rid of him. You get the most that you could back, but y'all played around. Y'all played with fire, and y'all got burnt this time. But sometimes that's the name of the game. But you didn't lose much still. You end up letting go of Darnell Mooney. I think it was a good thing. Don't overpay a player that doesn't deserve that much money. If they would have kept him, they would have had to pay him big money. So good job letting him walk. It did hurt to kind of lose Eddie Jackson, but losing Eddie Jackson, man, you did pick up Kevin Byard. You end up picking up Kevin Byard and Jonathan Owens. One guy that's proven to be a Pro Bowl type of player in Kevin Byard, and a quality guy in Jonathan Owens. And then you also signed DeAndre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million contract. And then you did the Keenan Allen trade, which was fantastic, by the way. Fantastic. So with that being the case, man, the Bears got better at every position. Every position. We'll find out what happens with the quarterback spot. It looks like they're probably going to draft Caleb Williams. We'll talk about that in my draft episodes. But for the Bears so far this offseason, chef's kiss. Chef kiss. Y'all doing your thing. Keep doing it. Keep building your roster. Moving on now to the next team, man. One of the surprise teams of last year, the Houston Texans. They end up letting go of Devin Singletary, and they upgraded getting Joe Mixon. And then they also got Donnell Hunter. Now, I mean, they didn't do nothing flashy. They didn't lose nothing flashy. They just got better at primary positions. And because of that, they get a grade A from me. The Texans will be taking another step next year possibly, or just solidifying that they are the best team in their division. It's going to be a nice little fight because the Colts are not going down easy because they are coming back this year. Trust me, they will be back this year as long as Anthony Richardson's healthy. They're going to be competitive. That's all I'm saying, competitive. And then obviously we see Tennessee Titans. If they could get some out of Will Levis, they do got a lot on that offense. But the Texans are trying to secure that they are the best team in the AFC South. Moving on now to the next team, the Cleveland Browns. They let go of their late season hero in Joe Flacco, which I ain't mad at necessarily. And then they also let go of Kareem Hunt. But they did pick up Nyheim Hines, which I love him as a compliment to Nick Chubb if Nick Chubb is truly healthy. They did end up trading, getting Jerry Jeudy. I don't know about the contract. All I want to say is this: the Browns owner, he's paying out some money now. He's paying out money. The only way to get these numbers to work under this cap is by him paying hella money in signing bonuses. He's paying money day one. But hey, if he's willing to do it, do what you do. They picked up Devin Bush. They're going to be a little bit more talented in the middle. But this is the big ones I want to talk about with them real quick. They signed Jameis Winston, and they signed Taylor Huntley. And they still got DTR, and they still got Deshaun Watson. Something's fishy, y'all. Something is fishy. This is why I say something's fishy. Most teams only carry 2 quarterbacks on the roster. After the stuff with San Francisco, you now have the third quarterback as the emergency quarterback. They got four. Something is fishy. Either Deshaun is not healthy, or they do not believe that Deshaun can get back to his play. Something's up there. You do not sign 2 quarterbacks in the offseason to real contracts. These guys have real contracts. This ain't no you cut them and you only lose a cup. No. They're getting paid backup quarterback money. You signed them the backup quarterback money. Something's fishy, y'all. Something's fishy. I don't know what it is. I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to have my nose in the dirt trying to find it still. But something ain't right. Something ain't right. But talking about the Browns, they did get better. And for them to get better, even after the season they had last year, that ain't nothing but a plus for them. They're going to be a challenger for their division possibly, but the issue is the whole division is a challenger for their division. Moving on now to one of their division mates, the Cincinnati Bengals. They let go of Joe Mixon, but they picked up Zach Moss. Because of the style of offense, I feel like that's fine because they got the backup. I want to say his last name's Brown. So Zach Moss and Brown being a tag team, they'll be just fine. I'm not concerned about that. They let go of Tyler Boyd, but you are picking up Mike Gesicki. I know they play 2 different positions, but Gesicki is a receiving tight end. He's more the ilk of Travis Kelce than what he is of the ilk of like a blocking tight end. So with that being the case, you do pick up another guy that you could swing in there. They let go of Jonah Williams, but you end up signing Trent Brown. Now, I don't know how effective these tackles are going to be, but these are some big boys. Orlando Brown on one side, Trent Brown on the other. Hey, man, those some big guys. Them Brown brothers, they're going to go out there and try to do their thing. And then they did pick up Von Bell. I thought that was a great pickup for them. The only person that I really think was a bad loss for them was DJ Ritter. DJ Ritter, man, he was a good defensive tackle. Good defensive tackle for them. But based on the other things that they upgraded, like their offensive line and upgrading their tight end room, and then upgrading their secondary by bringing Von Bell back, a guy that already knows the defense and knows the secondary, I think it was great pickups for them. So they did get better. They definitely got better. Now, moving on now to one of the biggest teams in free agency this year, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons ended up letting go of Desmond Ridder, deservedly so, by the way. But I will say I do think Ridder is a good backup quarterback. I think he's a solid backup quarterback for most teams in the league. You couldn't make him the backup in Atlanta. You gave him 2 years to try to get the starting job. He failed both times. It's time to let the young guy go, start off fresh somewhere. This is that plain and simple. Obviously, I want to say he got traded to the Arizona Cardinals for Rondale Moore. So with that being the case, like he's going there to be a backup. He's a backup quarterback. And plus the Falcons still, I believe, got Taylor Heinicke. So with Taylor Heinicke there to back up Kirk Cousins, that's great. Now, they are losing Calais Campbell. I think that's a guy that they should try to bring back, honestly. Keep the veteran leadership on that defensive line and keep pouring money into your defensive line. Your defensive line is like really, really solid. Now let's go ahead and get to their additions, man. They end up bringing in Rondale Moore, Ray McCloud, Darnell Mooney to go along with Kirk Cousins. They ready to throw that football, man. And I'm giving them a strong B. And I definitely think they are the best team in their division now. One of the teams in the playoffs that we're going to have to watch out for probably next year. Now, my issue with the Kirk Cousins signing was you pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money, and then you get the Minnesota Vikings results. And that's my fear for the Falcons. Are y'all just becoming the new Minnesota Vikings? Because if you're becoming the new Minnesota Vikings, it's a 4-year, $180 million, $100 million guarantee contract worth it for Kirk Cousins? Now, my biggest thing I said was if you sign Kirk Cousins, you got to go all in. Not Jerry Jones all in, but for real all in on this 4 years with Kirk Cousins. And I'll tell you what they did. Because see, Bijan's still under contract for the next 4 years. They're going to pick up his 5th-year option. So you got him locked up. Kyle Pitts, he just played his 3rd year. You're going to lock him up too. And then you got Drake London. You're going to lock him up after he played his 2nd year. So with that being the case, man, that you bring in Darnell Mooney, you bring in Rondale Moore to kind of serve like a I would just say an X role, just like he's just a guy that's just a weapon. Just a weapon. When he's on the field, you need to know where he's at. He has that lightning speed. You bring in Darnell Mooney that can attack down the field. Now you can go ahead and let Drake London and Kyle Pitts run route concepts together. One of them going deep one time, one of them going short the next time. With Arthur Smith, he pretty much just had Kyle Pitts trying to play wide receiver. He's not a wide receiver. He doesn't have that advantage out there. So now, man, with that being the case, I think it's a great thing for the Falcons. The Falcons should win their division, and that's why they're a winner in this offseason. Moving on now to the next winner in this offseason. One of the teams that the Falcons are going to have to be worried about playing against is the Detroit Lions. Their key departure, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They also lost, I want to say, one of their offensive linemen. I want to say a guard. But they end up bringing in Kevin Zeitler, the guard from the Ravens. So, I mean, you kind of canceled that out quickly. You picked up Carlton Davis, which I think fits better for them than C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Gardner-Johnson is more like a Tyrann Mathieu-like player. He wants to play in the nickel. He wants to be in the box. You can put him back at safety, but he's not necessarily a shutdown corner. Now, Carlton Davis is more of a traditional corner, so I feel like he upgrades that room. And then their big signing with DJ Ritter. Ritter coming over from Cincinnati to play defensive tackle for them, solidifying that front seven. Man, I think that's a big thing for them. Him and Hutchinson playing together on that front line, that's going to be nice. The Detroit Lions are upgraded, and man, they already made it to the NFC Championship game. So we see how much further they go. Moving on now to the Green Bay Packers, their division rival. Their key departures is obviously Aaron Jones, David Bakhtiari. They let go of Devon Campbell, and they let go of Jonathan Owens. But they picked up Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney in place of Jonathan Owens, that's a no-brainer. McKinney wins that every day of the week. You let go of Aaron Jones, but you picked up Josh Jacobs. You won that one as well. David Bakhtiari, he hasn't really played in the last 2-3 years because of injuries. And then Devon Campbell, he's just getting old. He's getting long in the tooth. It's time to get some young guys a chance. So I love everything that the Green Bay Packers did. And for them to have the year that they did last year, should have beat the San Francisco 49ers, but they folded. Man, those boys upgraded. They're going to be something to deal with. I definitely got them winning their division next year. I definitely got them in the hunt to win their division next year with the Lions. Moving on now to the next team, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm giving them a grade of a B. They didn't really lose anything to me tremendous. You lost Cleveland Farrell, you lost Randy Gregory, but honestly, they didn't give you what you thought that you was going to get. You lost Chase Young. He also didn't give you everything that you wanted. And their biggest loss was Eric Armstead. I'm just not the biggest Armstead guy. I'm really not. So with that being the case, I don't feel like they lost a whole lot because Eric Armstead, he's a big body. He's a big body. He's a poor man's Calais Campbell, in my opinion. But they did pick up Josh Dobbs, which I think is a really good backup for them, honestly. But them picking up Leonard Floyd, I think is really good for them because now you got Nick Bosa on one side. You can even pair him up a little bit because Leonard Floyd has played outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. So if you could do some concepts where you may drop him back in coverage and things like that, I think that could be very beneficial for them. I think it's definitely far more beneficial than Chase Young, than Randy Gregory, or Cleveland Farrell on the opposite side. And then they also picked up Devondre Campbell from the Packers. And Devondre Campbell is going to fill in that role of the other linebacker, Greenlaw, who's going to be returning back from his Achilles injury in the Super Bowl, unfortunately, that he had. So you once again went back and solidified that. The only question would be, can Devondre Campbell coexist playing next to Fred Warner? You're no longer the green dot. It's a different feeling. You're no longer the lead linebacker. You will always be on the weak side. How much can he truly affect the game? Now, moving on to the team that they played against in the Super Bowl, my Kansas City Chiefs. Man, the key departures of the Chiefs is obviously Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He got cut simply because of budget cuts. Davion Smith, he could be back. He's still a free agent. He's the left tackle that we had for last season. We let go of Willie Gay. That's the guy I hated to let go, but there's no way you was going to keep him and Drew Tranquil. And obviously we'll let go of Snead, which is a big deal. The Chiefs, for their grade, I'm giving the Chiefs a B. This is why I'm giving the Chiefs a B. I'm giving him a B based off of NFL terms, okay? The way the NFL do business. Not the way us fans believe that they should do business, the way the NFL does business. When you look at the NFL, nobody gets traded for first-round picks. It's very rare when guys get traded for a first-round pick. You wasn't getting a first-round pick for Snead. Snead also has some knee issues. So with that being the case, his value got bumped down a little bit. There's a reason why he didn't end up getting the highest paid corner in the league. As I think last year he proven that he maybe should have been, but he didn't end up getting that. I thought the Chiefs should have got a second-round pick for Snead, but they overplayed their hand a little bit, and that cost them to get a third. So because of that, I give the Chiefs a B. So overall in the grading scale, I gave the Titans an A. I give Snead an A. I'm giving the Chiefs a B. But moving on now to the pickups of the Chiefs, man, you end up signing back Chris Jones. Now you paid him. And that's another reason why the Chiefs get a B. There's no way you was going to pay Chris Jones and pay Snead. You had to pick one or the other, and they picked the correct guy. So you pick Chris Jones. You bring back Drew Tranquill, and then you also added in Marquise Brown. Let me tell you guys something about Hollywood Brown, what he's going to do for this offense. He opens the offense up. You're going to see an offense more similar to when we had Tyreek Hill than what we had last year. Now, Marquise is not Tyreek by no means. But remember, Andy Reid was the head coach who drafted Deshaun Jackson. And a lot of those things that we saw from Deshaun, Marquise Brown can do. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on him being a version of Deshaun Jackson. Not as productive as Deshaun, because, see, Deshaun didn't have to play with Travis Kelce. He didn't have to play with those kind of guys. He didn't have to play with Ray. He did have a version of Rashee Rice because Jeremy Maclin was there. But he didn't have to play with guys that was going to suck up targets from him. Pulse. But Brown will have to. But I think Brown, he opens up the offense because now the Chiefs can attack you from all three levels. They can attack you deep. They can attack you deep. They can attack you in the middle. And they can attack you short. They could hit all three levels, and the Chiefs proven that they can run the football at a quality level whenever they have to. So with that being the case, man, I'm giving the Chiefs a B+. They're having a great offseason in my opinion. Moving on now to the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I gave them a grade of an A because they're just the Eagles. That's what they do, bro. They always win the offseason, it seems like. Yeah, they let go of DeAndre Swift, but yet you picked up Saquon Barkley. You let go of Jason Kelce, but you already had Jurgens in the waiting room. You let go of Fletcher Cox. He retired as well. You let go of Kevin Byard. But, man, when you let go of Kevin Byard, you picked up C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the guy that you know fits your defense players a lot better. You picked up Devin White to upgrade because Nakobe, he didn't do what you were expecting him to do. Now, Devin White has all the athletic ability in the world to do whatever you ask of him. You picked up Bruce Huff. Bruce Huff, man, coming off that edge for the Jets, he was fantastic, and he should be able to transfer that over here. Now, I have heard that they're looking at trading Hassan Reddick, so really he's going to be replacing him. They picked up Devontae Parker. I think that's a great pickup because now you can move A.J. Brown around. A.J. Brown does not always have to go deep for you, and I think the more you can move him, the better your offense will be. Obviously, you picked up Saquon. I think Saquon was a big pickup for them because now that's going to take the running importance off of Jalen Hurts. Keep him healthier because now you could give the ball to Saquon 300 times a year. Easy. You can't do that with DeAndre Swift. You can't do that with Miles Sanders, but you could do that with Saquon. And then they picked up Kenny Pickett. We're going to talk about Kenny Pickett right now because I got beef with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, man, it's not a player that honestly deserves to be talked about, but I hate how he handled this situation. How do you have the year that you had these last 2 years that you've been kind of a year and a half that you've been starting? You have thrown, bro, for 4,000 yards in 2 years. You have thrown 13 touchdowns with 13 interceptions. Who are you to be offended that Mike Tomlin said that Russell will get the majority of the first team reps day one? Do you realize that Russell Wilson threw for 26 touchdowns last year and he didn't play like the final 3 to 4 games? What did you do? Bro, you was trash. Trash. To the point that Mason Rudolph, a guy that's already been proven that he cannot be the starter, started over you. And then also for you to not want to address in the final weeks with Mason Rudolph as the starter, bro, you soft. You soft. You soft and you have a very privileged attitude. Very privileged attitude. That's why they let you go. Bro, let me tell you how good you was. When you went to the Steelers to tell them that you wanted traded, you was gone the next day. They didn't even talk to you about wanting you to stay. If a team likes you, if a team thinks you good, you got to fight to leave. Look at T. Higgins with Cincinnati. He can't leave. Look at Michael Pittman. He tried to ask for a trade. He couldn't leave. Now he ended up accepting the money and getting paid. Look at these guys that are trying. Look at Saquon Barkley last year trying to get out of the Jets. Look at Josh Jacobs not trying to be there. Look at Jonathan Taylor not trying to be in Indy, trying to get his way down to Miami. Bro, they let you go within hours. Realize, come back to reality. Realize who you are. You ain't Big Ben. You Kenny Pickett. You a old man coming out of college, bro. You was out there playing with teenagers. You're like a 24-year-old rookie. And let's keep it a buck. You shouldn't have got drafted in the first round. The only reason why you did was because they didn't have a backup plan for Ben Roethlisberger. That was the only team that was going to take you in the first. Nobody else. Bro, you should have been a late second round, third round draft pick. And you over here crying because you weren't the starter. I'm done, bro. Moving on now to the team that he cried to leave from, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, yes, congratulations. You're a backup behind Jalen Hurts and you won't get no time. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I gave him a grade of an A because you got rid of the great Kenny Pickett, I guess. They also let go of Deontay Johnson, but they did pick up Dante Jackson, the corner. I do think that was a good pickup for them, seeing how they let go of Patrick Peterson. Jackson, he does got to get better in the secondary still a little bit. More so mental. He has all the talent in the world to do it. So I thought it was a good trade for them. They did pick up Van Jefferson, so you're going to continue spacing out the field. They are obviously prioritizing making George Pickens that guy. He's going to be the guy running the full route tree. They're prioritizing George Pickens, then Pat Freiermuth. That's their goals. That's the guys that they're going to be trying to hit. Then you pick up Patrick Queen, man, to work the middle. Then obviously you sign Russell Wilson, as I said. And then after the whole Kenny Pickett crybaby stuff went down, you picked up Justin Fields. And I know a lot of you are going to have questions about like who I think should be the starter. I think it should be Justin Fields. You got more of a future with Justin Fields. And honestly, at this point, I think Justin Fields is a better player than Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is a guy that will keep you steady. I think Justin Fields is a guy that can bring you up. I'd rather have a guy that can bring me up than a guy that can keep me just steady. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, I know that you know Mike Tomlin, he announced Russell Wilson as the starter as of right now. I think they're only doing I believe they're doing that just to protect Justin Fields. If you say that Fields is a starter and then he goes into camp and then he's trash, you're going to the fan base will rain down on Fields. Fans will rain on him, and he will lose all confidence to want to play. But if you say Russell Wilson is the starter, and now Fields goes out there and outperforms him, obviously he's going to get more love. But even if he does not outperform him, nobody cares because he was never the starter. I think it's all done to protect him. That's it. And then the team that I think actually is the biggest what if, they're getting a grade A from me so far this offseason because we got to say everybody's healthy. But the Jets, if they are healthy, they got so much better, bro. So much better. They didn't have any major departures. I mean, Bryce Huff left, the guy that signed with the Eagles. But outside of that, they didn't have nothing crazy go on. And instead, you picked up Tyrod Taylor, you picked up Mike Williams, you picked up Morgan Moses, you picked up Tyron Smith, and you picked up John Simpson. Hey, you solidified your offensive line. This is saying everybody's healthy. You solidified your offensive line. You solidified your wide receiver 2 spot. You got a true wide receiver 2. Now, Allen Lazard could do what he's supposed to do when he gets back from his injury. And then you also even got a solid backup quarterback just in case something goes on with Aaron Rodgers. Hey, man, great offseason by the Jets so far. Just, hey, you're hoping that them boys stay healthy. Moving on now to the losers of free agency. I'm giving the Cardinals an F. I'm giving them an F. The Cardinals, man, you let go of Marquise Brown, you let go of Rondale Moore, you let go of Humphreys. You pretty much already told us that, hey, y'all, we are drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what you said. But I mean, but even still, with Marvin Harrison Jr., at least keep Brown to try to stretch the field a little bit. Keep Moore at least to try to take some coverage off of him. But instead, you're just trying to say that he's Marvin Harrison Sr. and already as soon as he walks on the field, we'll find out what happens. But then for you to also lose Humphreys, your left tackle, I don't like anything that they're doing so far in the free agency. And they haven't picked up anything that matters. So now moving on now to the next. So they will remain dead last. Moving on to the next team, the Vikings. The Vikings got a lot worse, man. You let go of Kirk Cousins. You let go of Dino Hunter. You let go of Alexander Madison. You picked up Sam Darnold. I mean, I guess they say he still has talent. But, I mean, we've seen him read. We've seen his reads. He is not very good at reading the field. He has a lot of turnovers and always has. And it's hard to get that out of a quarterback's game. Then you picked up Aaron Jones. So, I mean, you did get better at the running back spot. But, I mean, Aaron Jones, he gets hurt a lot, unfortunately. So, with that being the case, you cannot put too much on his shoulders. I do not feel like you guys got better at all. I see you guys probably finishing almost dead last in that division, to keep it a buck. Moving on now to the Denver Broncos. They straight up get an F. Now they get an F, an understandable F, because you had to let go of Russell Wilson. You had to let go of Jerry Jeudy. And you had to let go of Justin Simmons. All because you paid Russell Wilson what you paid him, and he's getting that paycheck. You let him go. Your dead cap hit is through the roof, and you couldn't afford to keep those guys. And honestly, Jerry Jeudy hasn't done anything to even deserve the paycheck that he got from the Browns. He needed to go out there and prove that. But they paid him anyway, but touche. But the Broncos, you did nothing to help yourself so far this offseason. This is a straight up trying to build year. Y'all just trying to skate by again. And then y'all trying to maybe build in year 2025 rather than 2024. Moving on to the next team I think that lost this free agency process, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You let go of Ridley and you let go of your cornerback Williams when your corner room was not the greatest in the first place, let alone you trying to let people walk. And then you pick up Gabe Davis and you pick up Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead is a solid pickup for them. He will take some pressure off of Josh Allen, the defensive end of the Jags. But he ain't nothing life changing, and paying him $17 million a year, I think is way too much. My biggest issue is them picking up Gabe Davis. You got Zay Jones, you got Christian Kirk. You don't need Gabe Davis. And for you guys to pick him up and pay him 3 years, $40 million, let me pause for a second and why I hate this so much. People are crapping on the running back market in the league. They are saying that the running backs are not worth their money. This is what I don't understand. It is a passing league, but not all number 2 wide receivers are the same. There are some guys that are number 1s. There are some guys that are potential number 1s. Then there are wide receiver 2s. You pay the potential number 1s. You don't pay the wide receivers 2 that money. You could find another Gabe Davis. Do you guys realize that Gabe Davis got more money than Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs? Which one is the better player to you? That's my beef. That's why the running backs can't get paid, because guys are getting paid that do not deserve the money whatsoever. Gabe Davis does not deserve a 3-year, $39 million contract. There's no way you could tell me he deserves that based off of his production in the league. He had one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen, and never eclipsed 1,000 yards. And you paying him $13 million a year. You gots to be crazy. Gots to be crazy. Why? It makes no sense to me. So they are straight up losers in this offseason. It was a desperate team trying to reach and trying to claw and trying to grab anything that they could grab. And they lost this offseason. Moving on now to the Los Angeles Chargers. They lost the offseason because they had to. But they lost, just like I told you they would. I told you guys that this was the worst job to take. A lot of people are just looking at, I got Justin Herbert. Well, what the hell are you going to have around him? You had to let go of Austin Eckler. You let go of Kelly, the backup running back. You let go of Keenan Allen. You had to let go of Mike Williams. You had to let go of Jerry Everett. You had to let go of Eric Kendricks. You had to let go of Kenneth Murray. Bro, you let go of everybody. I told you guys it's the worst job to take because they were in cap room hell. Cap hell, bro. Now, I personally thought they was going to let go of Khalil Mack and let go of Mike Williams. That's who I thought was going to be gone. Khalil Mack restructured, Joey Bosa restructured, and they end up letting go of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Who the hell is Justin Herbert throwing the ball to? Quentin Johnston? The bust that y'all drafted last year? That was a bust. Let me be clear, sincerely, I do not think he's necessarily a terrible player. I think he's a wide receiver 3. I think he serves a role. I think he's more of a Van Jefferson type, those type of guys. I think that's who he is. A Michael Valdez-Scantling. That's who Johnston is. But you draft him in the first round as if he could be a number 1 wide receiver. He is not that. And now Justin Herbert is in hell, and it is not going to work. You guys will probably finish second to last place in our division, only because we got the Denver Broncos in the division. Terrible offseason for you guys. Moving on now to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills let go of Gabe Davis, they let go of Leonard Floyd, they let go of Shaq Lawson, they let go of Trey White, they let go of Micah Hyde, and they let go of Jordan Poyer. I'm giving them a C+ on the offseason because they did pick up Mac Hollins. Now, this is my point. Mac Hollins does the same damn thing that Gabe Davis does. But you ain't paying Mac Hollins $39 million. Good job for you, Buffalo. Way not to overspend. They did pick up Curtis Samuel. I thought that was a great pickup for them, sincerely. I think that now you're 3 wide. You obviously have Diggs. You have Hollins on the other side to stretch the field. You have your Weapon X and Curtis Samuel. And then you also still got Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox working a tight end spot. They still got hella weapons. The reason why they're a loser to me is because your defense got tremendously worse. You had to let go of both of your safeties, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. You had to let go of Leonard Floyd. You had to let go of Shaq Lawson. You had to let go of Tre'Davious White. Actually, I'll pause. Unfortunately, I'll take that back. That's not a big deal because he hasn't been healthy, unfortunately. He hasn't been playing. So y'all been without him for 2-3 years now. But, man, when you let go of that much talent on the defensive side, you guys lost a lot. You lost a lot, and now you guys have come closer to the pack in the AFC East. Moving on now to your foe, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins didn't lose any necessarily stars, in my opinion. You lost Connor Williams, you lost Robert Hunt. So you lost your center. I believe Connor Williams is your center. You lost your right guard in Hunt. Now, you did lose Christian Wilkins. I think that's the big thing that you lost, obviously. And then you let go of Xavier Howard. I understand that was cap issues. But you did bring in Shaq Barrett. You brought in Kendall Fuller to help that defensive backfield. And then you also brought in Jordan Poyer to also help the defensive backfield. All that being said, I'm going to give them a C, but the issue is that they lost a lot of role players. They got to do like the Rams did last year. You're filling in these gaps with really young guys that none of us really know how good they are. So I'm giving them a C right now. You are a loser because I do think that you took a step back, but your step back isn't as drastic as most team step backs. Moving on now to the next team, the Baltimore Ravens. Man, they lost a lot, man. You lost Tyler Huntley. You lost J.K. Dobbins. You lost Gus Edwards. You lost OBJ. You lost Morgan Moses. You lost Kevin Zeitler. You lost Jadeveon Clowney. And you lost Kyle Van Noy. And you lost Patrick Queen. And the only thing you did tremendously was pick up Derrick Henry. I do think Derrick Henry was a great pickup for them. I do think they're going to be the best offense on Madden, boy, when you got Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry back there. But all sincerity, man, for the league, when you got Henry and you got Richard, the fullback, man, that's a lot of people in that backfield. Those two guys, that's a lot of person. A lot of person. Them two guys are going to be adding up to 550, 600 pounds in the backfield. Good luck. They don't need no tush push. You just need them two. That's all you need on the short yardage. But what the situation is really going to help with them is that you're going to have to put 8 in the box. But if you put 8 in the box, Lamar and Zay Flowers, they could go crazy with Rashad Bateman. My biggest issue and the reason why they're a loser is because you lost a lot of your offensive line. Now, for them, a lot like the Dolphins, I think it's a minor step back because they have proven to be able to replenish offensive linemen there. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but you guys did get a little bit worse, and you did scoot closer to being that cluster in that division. You talking about the Steelers gotten better. You talking about the Browns or what they were last year. You talking about the Bengals getting Joe Burrow back and them getting better. Man, that's a cluster in that division. Somebody's going to be left out, but we don't know who it's going to be. Now, moving on to our final team, the one that a lot of y'all been waiting for. The Dallas Cowboys. Woo-wee. The Dallas Cowboys, let's go over their departures real quick. You let go of Tony Pollard. You let go of Michael Gallup. You let go of Tyron Smith. You let go of Tyler Biazza. You let go of Dorrance Armstrong. You let go of Van Der Esch. He actually retired. And you let go of Stephon Gilmore. Woo-wee. Now, Gilmore's still a free agent. There's a possibility he can sign back. There's a possibility. I'll give you guys that. You did pick up Eric Kendricks, which I think that you did. Sincerely, I think you guys upgraded at the linebacker spot. Thought that was a really good pickup for you guys. Really good pickup. Now, a lot of this is because of the fact Dak Prescott is making what he makes. And the reason why you guys get an F is because you lost all those things. You're not bringing nobody in. Nobody in. Now, I have seen reports saying that Dalvin Cook and Zeke are looking at coming possibly to the Cowboys. I think actually both of them will be good additions to the Cowboys as a tandem. Neither one of them could be the stud no more. As a tandem, it's solid. They could at the very least give you what Tony Pollard did last year. At the very least. Michael Gallup being gone, you ain't missing nothing with Michael Gallup. So I ain't tripping off of that. But you are missing a lot with Stephon Gilmore being gone. You getting Trayvon Diggs back this year with Stephon Gilmore. That could be a lethal combination. So I really think you guys should try to bring him back. But because of what Dak Prescott is making, you couldn't bring back these guys. And because they are not restructuring his contract and not giving him an extension, whoever's fault it is, this could be Jerry Jones' fault. It could be Dak's fault. Whoever's fault it is. Now, we'll give you guys, the Cowboys, this. I do give you an A+ on not overpaying for Dak. Dak is trying to work his leverage. I ain't mad at him. Get your money, bro. Get your money. But if you continue paying him what you're paying him, he's Kirk Cousins, bro. He is Kirk Cousins. He's Kirk Cousins in y'all. Meaning, he knows y'all need him. He knows he has the leverage. He knows that he's better than Trey Lance. He knows that he's better than Drew Lock. He knows that he's better than Baker Mayfield. He knows that he's better than Geno Smith. He knows. And you know. But the issue is, if you pay him, you will forever be what you've been. There's no ceiling. There's no ceiling because you already touched it. Just like the Vikings did. That's where the Vikings do get an A+ in my opinion and not paying Kirk Cousins. That's why I'm not jumping on them as hard. Because of them not paying Kirk Cousins, they're getting out of that. They're moving forward. They're like, we know what we are with Kirk. It is what it is. We tried. And they had a better roster with Kirk earlier in his career with the Vikings. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, before Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen for both. I mean, they had some dudes, and still couldn't get the job done. And that's the same thing the Cowboys are doing. The same exact thing the Cowboys are doing. I personally say that you should trade Dak. Get what you can. You could probably get a couple first-round picks for Dak. He is good enough for that. He is. And somebody will pay him. Somebody will. I don't know who, but somebody would pay him. But for you guys to not have to do it, to put yourself in the position that you're in now, you guys got far worse, brother. Far worse. Far worse. Your offensive line now has holes. You're not going to be as good as you were last year. Because I like Tyler Biazza. I thought he was solid. I thought he was really solid at the center spot. You lost one of your pass rushers in Armstrong. You're losing Stephon Gilmore. I don't care nothing about Michael Gallup. I ain't going to lie. And I do agree with you not paying Tony Pollard. The issue is just that y'all can't do nothing to fill any gaps. That's the problem. And that's why you guys get an F. Because so far you haven't filled anything. You haven't gotten better at all. You've only gotten worse. Now, let me be clear about the worst. You guys are still a playoff team, in my opinion. And you guys will definitely finish second in the division to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles will win the division this year. They will do that. Because Jalen Carter going to eat that defensive line up. That offensive line to pieces. 2 pieces. And we already know y'all can't stop the run. And with Jalen Hurts and Saquon in that backfield, y'all ain't got a chance of stopping the run. But for the Cowboys, that's a big flop for y'all, man. Y'all had a terrible offseason so far. We'll see what y'all do in the draft. But, man, that concludes our episode of the 2024 free agency offseason moves. And my biggest winner is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and my biggest loser is the Dallas Cowboys. Y'all take with that what you want to take. Hey, this is Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Peace.